Why do we want to do this economically? The conservatives give you this choice in the election. They say, Harper said this week, this is a choice in this election between change and risk. Guess who the risk is? We're supposed to be the risky guys, right? No, it's certainty and risk, sorry. Certainty and risk, that's right. He's the certainty, steady hand on the tiller, blah, 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 and we're risk. The real choice in the election is between change and doing nothing, between change and the status quo. The real challenge for Canada, and particularly in Ontario, is we can't go on the way we are going. The really bad news here in the economy is epitomized in the auto sector and in agriculture. We have some of the best auto manufacturing in the world. Some of it's right down the road in Alliston. But this is an industry that is going through the most difficult time probably since the auto pact. Why? Very simple. Because we're not producing energy efficient and green cars that people want to buy. And every Canadian knows it. We're in the wrong place in the market. We have great automobile workers. We've got some pretty good companies. One of them's down the road is world class, but we're not producing what the market wants. And when that happens, people lose their jobs. And if we don't get our industry making fuel-efficient cars that people want to buy, none of your neighbors are going to have a job. We've got to change the way we do business. This is a big deal. This is not pie in the sky professor talk to you. I'm an MP in a riding that has lost jobs steadily since 2006 because we haven't got our act together. The Conservative Party has done nothing about this crisis in 2.5 years except to say, remember what Flaherty said? Don't invest in Ontario. I mean, come on. Come on. When an economy is going through a restructuring crisis of this seriousness, what do you want from government? You want government to sit down together, provincial government, federal government, municipal government, and say, how do we fix this? You want them to be partners instead of antagonists. You don't want people scoring cheap political points because people's jobs are on the line, right? That's why I'm so angry at Flaherty. And I'm angry. I'm not disagreeing. I'm angry. This is a disgrace. He shouldn't have said that. They've taken 2.5 years to realize that we're going through a very, very serious economic restructuring in this economy. And our workers and our employers need help as opposed to cheap politics on this. And when I talk about cheap politics, I mean Stephen Harper going to Windsor, some of you may have noticed this, 2 days before the rip drop and saying, oh, by the way, there's a little help for the Essex engine plant. You know, if I was in Windsor, I don't know how many of you have been to Windsor, but Windsor is not a happy sight. Unemployment at 25, 30%. A great town, a proud town, a town that's been the heart of our manufacturing sector, and it is struggling to stay alive. And the Prime Minister stiffs them and ignores them for 2 years and then comes in 2 days before the writ and says, I'll throw you some spare change. That is not leadership, which brings me to the other issue in the campaign, which is leadership. The thing about Stéphane Dion, everybody knows I was his rival in the leadership, but I have worked with the guy. What you can say about this guy first is that he has 10 years of experience at the cabinet table, right? He's got 3 times more experience than Harper in the business of government. So if leadership is related to experience, he's got everybody beat on experience. Secondly, on this issue, he's the only leader in Canadian politics, and I'm proud to be part of the team that's saying, the issue is not what we do tomorrow morning. The issue is not what we do in 6 months. The issue is how we get this economy ready for the next 5 years, 10 and 15 years. And the only way to go is to be more energy efficient than we've been. The key variable for economic success in Canada is to use energy more efficiently, right? That's the deal. That's the score. Whatever you're doing, use energy more efficiently. Less electricity, less natural gas, less diesel, less petroleum, right? If you don't do that, you're not going to be in business in 10 years. You've got to get more efficient at doing that. And everybody who thinks about the economy thinks that. And Stéphane Dion is the only person in this campaign who's saying, we've got to do this, not tomorrow. It's no longer time to have an interesting discussion about it. It's time to act, right? You can tell I'm steamed up of it because I really believe this. I really think it's important. This is not fooling around. The environmental issue is not kind of, how can we do more recycling, important as that is. The issue is how we get this economy efficient enough to compete in a world which is pitiless. The world does not need more Canada unless Canada is producing efficient goods at the best possible quality, the best possible price, using the least amount of energy. That's the game that gives my children a job, right? If we don't play that game, you can forget about it. We'll be a little museum piece, and the jobs will be in Alabama and Mississippi. They will not be here, right? Do you think this big engine plant there is going to be there forever unless we get our act together? Don't believe it. These people aren't here to do us favors, right? So it's a tough world, but let's remember our strengths. We have some of the best workers in the world. The car companies came here, the whole automotive sector, all the industrial sector came here because Canadians are the best. But they need a government that understands what the deal is here, which is we just have to be green before the other guys, or we're going to be out of business. That's what I'm saying. That's what Dion's saying. That's the message. And don't let anybody tell you different. That's the story. That's what we have to sell on the doorstep. And that's clear. That wasn't hard to understand. Everybody says you can't understand. That's what the green shift is, guys. That's what it's about. It's about your jobs. It's about your futures. If you've got grandchildren, it's about your grandchildren's economic future. Right? So that's what we're trying to do here. That's the kind of campaign we're trying to run. And Dion has taken all kind of incoming fire. They fire at him day and night with all this cheap stuff. But he's the only guy asking the key question about the future of the country. Right? So that's what we have to say. We can argue about this, we can argue about that. I'm not saying we've got everything right, but the core question that we are asking, the core proposal we're making, is the right way for this country to go. And we cannot win for Andrea if we go into the battle kind of, excuse my language, sucking our thumbs, saying, well, I wish it was a little different. We got to believe this stuff. We got to believe it. You can't sell it unless you believe it. Unless you go to the door and say you feel fired up, you feel good about it, you feel proud to be a Liberal. I'm proud to be a Liberal. I joined this party when Mike Pearson was the Prime Minister of Canada. That shows you how old I am. I've been in this game a long time. I first knocked on doors when Mike Pearson was Prime Minister of Canada. Remember Mike Pearson, those of you who are old enough to remember, will remember that everybody thought he was the most useless Prime Minister Canada had ever seen. He lisped, he spoke terrible English, he was a bumbler, right? There was always problems in his cabinet, and every one of you know that after Mike Pearson was finished in office, we had Medicare, we had a national flag, we had official bilingualism, we had a Canada pension plan, right? Right? The list goes on. We had the first massive investment in Canadian arts and culture. You know, if you ask me why I'm proud to be in this party, it's because bumblers, you know, guys that everybody derided, made this country, built this country, right? If you ask what Canada is, it was built by people wearing red, okay?